I can't believe we're still here, covering the Walking Dead franchise. I swear the Walking Dead universe has aged me worse than Norman Reedus. But I continue to do this out of morbid curiosity, and I know you loyal fans love hearing me talk about the absurd lengths that AMC will go to keep milking the Walking Dead cow. To be fair, The Ones Who Live turned out to be a fairly decent spin-off, even though it was far from perfect. So to me, it feels justified to see what happened to Daryl Dixon, and also Carol in the second season. So, here we go again. Give me the strength to recap every episode of Daryl Dixon. Daryl Dixon washes up on a beach, but something seems different about this place. There's a waft of camembert and surrender in the air. You got it, he's in France. No idea how he got here, but that's what makes recaps so fun, as you'll be finding out in minutes what I found out from hours of watching. He knows he's in France because he finds a map on this boat, pinpointing his current location as Marseille, which is in the south of France. He leaves a voice note on a dictaphone, saying the reason he left home is because he was looking for something, but only wound up finding trouble. Many fans believe that the quote-unquote thing he was looking for was Rick and Michonne, but if we go back to the season finale, we hear Maggie giving both Daryl and Carol the very vague instruction to go find something that would benefit their community. And so they come back with a link to Hausenberg's Patreon to make sure their community gets early access to their entertainment, and get regular updates on what he's working on now. Great work, Daryl and Carol, but maybe go out and come back with some fresh water, or some cows, or some Ultra Blue Monster. Daryl explores a warehouse, hoping to find some food, but to no one's surprise, all he finds is a bunch of walkers. But to everyone's surprise, the walkers now have acid blood. It's a cool gimmick, but you must be wondering if this is ever explained. Well, as it's a reoccurring variant in this spin-off, of course it's never explained. Don't ask questions, just consume flesh and get excited for next flesh. I'm not going to be this way throughout the whole video, as there are some cool scenes and things to appreciate, but I would be lying to you if I hid my true feelings of fatigue while watching this. While walking a lonely dirt road, he spots a woman hanging up some posters, preaching about how much God loves you, which understandably he scoffs at.
God loves you.
He comes across another woman and her blind grandfather. They offer a peaceful trade of a few apples for his medicine, and luckily for Daryl, most of the people he meets in this show speak a reasonable level of English.
You American guy! You know I speak English very good! What's cracking, noob?
And I just learned that English is a mandatory subject in French schools. Before they can get to know each other, some military guys come along looking to disturb the peace, or something. But Daryl and his new friends get the upper hand. But wait a minute, what's this? The grandfather isn't blind? Well, that would make these guys liars. And Daryl doesn't make friends with liars. He does make friends with nice people, like this nun lady who rescued him. She's the same person we saw hanging up those God loves you posters.
You're from America? A place called Commonwealth, right? Found your tape recorder. How did you come to be in France?
Bunch of bad decisions.
She's part of a convent full of nuns, so we won't be seeing any sinful acts like murder for as long as he stays within these walls, despite the temptation to murder this annoying child who's copying Daryl's every move. Why are you doing this? Stop copying him. What's the point? Is it meant to be funny? Is it meant to be cute? What's your purpose? Why do you exist? Turns out being stuck within these walls with nothing to do other than studying makes you a bit of a brainiac, and he's figured out how long it would take to repopulate France.
Do you know how long it would take to repopulate that many people?
No.
6 generations. Perhaps 7.
This kid's name is Laurent, and you should write that down if you want to remember it, because I'm just going to refer to him as the kid. More men from the military question the not blind man and his lying granddaughter about what happened to the first group of their men, but they refuse to cooperate, resulting in the old man getting beaten to death. The snotty liar woman then agrees to take them back to their old camp. One of the people they killed was the brother of this face tattoo man. He's quite a good character in this. His name is Stefan. When I say they killed his brother, I actually mean she killed his brother. But being a liar,
Pantalon en feu.
she pins the blame on Daryl.
Notre miséricorde. La voilà ta récompense, toi.
Daryl doesn't intend on sticking around here too long when he sees that they're keeping their zombified priest alive, living on a prayer that one day he'll be cured. The main nun, whose name is Isabel, says that Daryl can't leave, as he's the messenger that the prophecy foretold of. This prophecy right here, drawn in crayon. Another prophecy foretells that this kid is going to be the next Messiah, and he needs Daryl to take him somewhere safer. It was meant to be Father Pierre-Jean taking him, but he's busy being dead right now. New Messiah, eh? Well, you just earned a name upgrade to Lil Jesus. Daryl turns down the job, but Isabel points out that Paris is en route to the harbour that he's heading to, where rumour has it ships are still sailing from there, and also if he's going to travel all that way, it might benefit him to have a French speaker tag along. On his way out, he sees the military guys driving up to the convent. They come across the Walker priest and take him out, causing Lil Jesus to come out of hiding. They go to kidnap him, but Daryl jumps in to save him. And so begins the bloodbath of the convent. You'll just have to take my word that's what's happening behind these pixels. Stefan gets away with only a slight flesh wound. As they sit around the fire, mourning the dead nuns, Daryl reveals some information about how he got here, saying that after he left the Commonwealth, he ran into some bad people, and that somehow led him to being on a boat, where he jumped overboard and washed up here. He agrees to go with little Jesus and Isabel, so long as they help Daryl to get to the port. The episode ends with a flashback to some bossy woman questioning the captain of a cargo ship as to how one of their prisoners escaped. Not only did he escape, but he also messed up their test subjects for some weird science project they're doing to create a new variant of Walker that we'll be seeing very soon. This second episode is awesome. If this was the first episode of Daryl Dixon, I would have made this recap a lot sooner. It's proof that you can still make walkers scary, you just have to work on the presentation. We see Isabel in her previous life, when she was less of a nun, and more of a I'm gonna pick your pockets until there's none left. As a neat background detail, we can hear people in this club screaming as the doors swing open. I love these subtle cues for the audience to let us know that the apocalypse is starting. I also absolutely love watching the chaos break out as we see the apocalypse begin. Fear the Walking Dead already showed us this time period, but seeing it here in Paris gives us a fresh perspective. This subway scene is short, but damn effective. If you want to see this scenario on a grander scale, I highly recommend Train to Busan. Probably butchered that pronunciation. A passing British white knight opens his car door for milady, and they swing by her place to get some clothes and to pick up her sister. They also happen to speak with this young girl who loves being alive and doing things that alive children like to do, like riding round on their adorable scooters. Being alive is so fun. They have to make a stop on their journey, as Izzy's sister is having pains in her womb from being pregnant. British guy Quinn says, "We gotta ditch this girl. She's a liability now, and a threat to our blooming relationship." Isabel swipes his keys and leaves him behind.
Oi, come back here!
They see an ambulance on the road, but no doctors, only walkers. And it's a close call getting away. Actually, it wasn't a close call at all, because Isabel's sister got bit. She holds on to her life long enough to begin labour, but croaks it before the final push. They successfully remove the baby as she's thrashing around as a reanimated corpse. Now, I don't want to sound like an early 2000s surfer, but this is pretty gnarly, dude. As you might have guessed, this little baby is Lil Jesus. Let's get back to the present. Their donkey is being a stubborn ass, because there's some walkers up ahead spooking it. But having faith that the donkey will be fine, Daryl spooks it to make it charge through the crowd.
He's passing on them. He'll make it.
Let's go.
On foot, they get attacked by a bunch of kids, who take them back to their base, which used to be a preschool. They call down their leader with wolf howls and chants, and you're expecting someone a bit intimidating. But no, she's a 14-year-old girl. Our captors are somehow intimidated by her, making up a story that Daryl's a holy father from America, and therefore should never be harmed. They treat our guys as valued guests. Well, apart from little Jesus. The kids kind of bully him.
My father, who was falsely imprisoned, joined the Foreign Legion to fight the Hunger Wounds. He was a hero who gave his life for a free France.
It sounds made up.
It's not.
Those penguins trick you, Laurent.
Let it be known, I don't condone bullying, but I also wouldn't step in here. The kids really enjoy their company, watching some old crappy TV show and laughing at Daryl's Adam Driver references.
That's good soup.
He's slurping the soup. No one's ever slurped soup before. What a goofy goober. They tell tales of a mean-spirited evil villager who took all the supplies from the area and is holding it all in his castle. He even has a replacement horse for the donkey they lost, who's not doing too well.
I'll find you.
Daryl enters the evil villager's lair, who turns out to be a fellow American, and he tries to appeal to Daryl's southern sensibilities, as he's from Texas. But Daryl isn't willing to barter with him. The Texas man then begs for his life, saying he just wants to go home to his family.
I've got my wife and 4 kids waiting for me back home.
There ain't no home, asshole.
What are you talking about?
East Coast, Midwest, even Texas. Everybody you know back home is gone.
Daryl tries to take him prisoner, but he makes a run for the gun the second the opportunity arises, landing them both in the castle's moat, where some hungry walkers make short work of Texas man, who's hanging there like boss man's doner kebab. To clear out some of the walkers, Daryl blows up a barrel. Not sure why this had any effect on the walkers behind him, who just before were a split second away from biting him. Now they have the supplies back, they have the medicine they need for their sick teacher, but by the time they get back, it's too late. Well, that was a fun little side quest. Time to focus back on the main mission. Isabel has a contact in town who has a working radio, but he's currently using the parts for his passion project of music. With a shortage of people to fill his orchestra, he's resorted to using walkers. Now that's what I call death metal. This band literally is Cannibal Corpse. This is the problem with musicians nowadays. They lack soul. Thank you, thank you. This manufactured approval is vital to my ego. The blaring music has drawn in a bunch of walkers outside, so they can't stick around any longer. What a pointless, albeit funny pit stop. I learnt from this episode that Jim Morrison from The Doors died right here in Paris, and there's a scene where they're playing a French cover of the song People Are Strange, which was nice to hear because that's easily my favourite Doors song, but for copyright reasons I can't show it to you. They bump into one of Father Jean's old contacts. I've become aware that I've been mistakenly calling him Pierre Jean, but that was me mishearing the French from earlier. This old contact, whose name is Falou, has been anticipating the arrival of Little Jesus. They take them back to their base, where Daryl gets excited hearing about their communication station, which turns out to be just some carrier pigeons. Meanwhile, Stefan is meeting with the bossy lady from the boat scene. Her name is Marion, and she's the head of a nationalist movement looking to give France a better future. And part of that bright future involves giving walkers a drug that sends them into a frenzy. Stefan promises to find Daryl and bring him to Marion.
Pourquoi je devrais te faire confiance?
Parce que je lâcherai rien. Quand ils sont morts, j'ai promis à mes parents que je m'occuperai de mon frère. Cet Américain, il m'a empêché de tenir parole.
Now that they're back in Paris, they make a stop at Isabel's old place to get some more stuff, knowing that she can exchange some of these stolen trinkets for anything they might need to complete their quest. On the way out, they come across the girl who used to be alive. Is it just me, or do some of these walkers look painfully fake now? Worse still, check out this god-awful CGI as the walkers fall from the roof. It looks way too quick, and the quality is on par with Xbox 360 graphics. It looks so bad, it removed all fear for me. And if you think I'm just hating on the show, remember how much I praised the walker scenes from the outbreak in Paris. That feels real. This feels ridiculous. Falou takes them to a hidden bunker, hidden within the catacombs of Paris, where he believes they'll be able to exchange their goods for information. These catacombs are real and freaky as all hell, so it makes for a cool setting for a secret base in the apocalypse. Before they get down to business, they take a moment to soak in the extravagance of this place. They built a functioning nightclub filled with dancers, a drag queen, and a pretty singer lady, who Lil Jesus uses to practice his Riz game on and walks away with a cool necklace. Not bad, kid. The guy in this club with information to exchange just so happens to be Quinn. My voice is absolutely annihilated this winter. Quinn reveals that he's the one who got Isabel's sister pregnant, so him wanting to ditch her earlier was simply him trying to run away from being a father. Quinn knows how Daryl can get home, but he's got all the money and possessions he needs. The only thing of value Isabel can give him in this trade is his son, Little Jesus.
No. Not with this
All right,
asshole.
Daryl, I can do this.
No. Him.
It's okay.
I don't need a boat this bad. Come on.
Stefan arrives at the club looking for Daryl, so he makes for the exit and tries to make a getaway over the rooftops, initiating a fight scene between Stefan and Daryl that's pretty fun to watch. Daryl nearly kills him, but the other soldiers are laying down some heavy firepower, causing him to flee. Just when he thinks he's in the clear, the floor beneath him starts to crack. Daryl regains consciousness, waking up in a body of still water. And as we all know, nothing good awaits you in still water, so he's got to get out of here quick. Back at Falu's base, Stefan is interrogating the residents, and they're pretty sturdy in their resolve, unwilling to budge. Marion, aka the Iron Lady, demonstrates that she has dominion over these people, not their precious prophet boy. And cleverly, she does this in a way that's not overtly threatening.
Ce garçon, Laurent, il représente un danger pour vous?
Il leur donne de faux espoirs. C'est une maladie qu'il faut éradiquer.
Je retrouverai. Tous les deux.
Daryl bumps into the Pigeon Man, but they have to hide, hearing a military vehicle approaching. Unable to accept the idea of his pigeons being taken, Pigeon Man steps out and begs for the military to leave the pigeons behind. And their response is... Oh no, Pigeon Man is dead. He was my favourite pigeon-related character. Daryl finds Isabel, but Little Jesus is still missing. Daryl has good reason to believe that he went to the Eiffel Tower, and voila, there he is. Yes. The atmosphere at the Eiffel Tower is really daunting. The creaking and groaning of the damaged ironwork, as the wind is knocking against it to near collapse, is the kind of dread I love to experience. Unfortunately, this immersive experience is tainted by Lil Jesus being too stupid to run away when the walkers start pouring towards him. Oh, but Hausenberg, he was just frozen in place because he's scared. Yeah, well, that's a good point, but it's still frustrating as hell to watch. Adding to the frustration is the way Daryl is swinging his flail. He's making the weapon look completely weightless, and even the way he's holding it seems dangerous to me. It would only take one tiny slip off the wrist, and that flail is going to be making contact with his brain. I am no weapons expert, but a flail seems extremely unpractical for the situation. If you were to hit a walker's skull with a flail, surely it wouldn't just slice through it like butter. It would lose some momentum, right? Meaning you'll have to adjust to swing again. Little Jesus gets saved from being eaten, but his saviour is the enemy who takes him away. Daryl interrogates the guy they left behind, and they suss out that the guys who took Little Jesus work for Quinn. With further and more brutal interrogation, he reveals there's a secret passage into the nightclub, and when Daryl gets there, he and Quinn face down. Seeing that Little Jesus is watching over them, Daryl decides not to kill his daddy. Their new plan is to get Little Jesus to an island, which goes by the name The Nest. But Isabel says that she's not coming with them, knowing that if she stays behind, she might be able to barter with Quinn and get him to call his men off the hunt.
I guess this is it then.
I hope not. But if it is, I hope you make it home.
Daryl's concerned that Little Jesus is too soft and wouldn't last a minute out here without him. In the famous words of Tallahassee,
I'm not easy to get along with, and I'm sensing you're Bit of a bitch. So,
Amplifying this concern, little Jesus protests the idea of killing a fish, stating that he's a vegetarian.
I can't eat animals. We made a promise to God.
Only God will understand.
Aslan, the captain of their boat, tells Daryl that he can get him on a boat back home, promising to help him after they get little Jesus to the nest. But it looks like Daryl's going to have to be the captain now, because Aslan got attacked by a walker and managed to impale himself on a telegraph pole.
All those years of training, and I'm done in by a telephone pole.
Never mind. Daryl finds out that little Jesus cut the mooring rope, so now they have no boat. And Daryl rightfully flips out, shooting him point blank dead, because that's what he deserves. But little Jesus rises again, and says, "Nay, letteth me explain. When you drop me off at the nest, you're going to leave me, and you're the only friend I have now."
I don't want to be alone.
Aww.
Yeah. Come here. I didn't mean it. It's gonna be all right.
The military guys find them on the road and get arrested. This is all your fault. Meanwhile, Quinn is hoping that his good deed of helping little Jesus to escape will persuade Isabel to see him as a good person and potentially be her snuggle buddy. But she's very unhappy to be here.
you're not ready. I can be patient.
She eventually plays along with it, knowing that he'll be meeting Marion soon, so she might have an opportunity to betray him and maybe even get to kill Marion. Much to both of their surprise, they find Daryl in Marion's jail, and the singer woman double-crosses Quinn, and they put him in there too. I maybe didn't explain this part too well, but the precise details aren't that interesting, and I don't really care to go back and make more notes.
I can explain this.
Really?
Yeah.
Isabel encourages little Jesus to do whatever Marion says, but he says, "Nah, I'm good. She's no girl boss. She's just a bitter woman with a broken soul." And this causes her to run off crying. Good one, little Jesus. Flashback time. Daryl was working with some grease monkeys at a garage in exchange for some fuel. For some reason, they're collecting walkers for a French guy to take on his ship. I find this transaction really confusing, because why can't they just do their experiments on French walkers? What's so special about the American ones, making you go to all this extra effort? Someone on Reddit theorises that it's because the US has the particular walker variant they need, but I don't know, feels too convoluted to be reasonable.
What do you want him for anyway? This is not your concern.
After getting in a fight, they put him on the ship to be taken with the walkers, and it becomes quickly apparent that the human prisoners on board are here just to feed the walkers. Daryl pulls a fake medical emergency so that he can catch them off guard. Daryl encounters one of the walkers that's been subjected to these experiments, giving it the ability to run and climb, and also rip open bodies with its bare hands. Kinda scary, not gonna lie. Daryl jumps overboard, and the rest we all know. Jump into the present. Daryl gets put into a pit with one of these experimental berserker walkers, and we'll get to see them fight in the season finale. They give Daryl this old battle axe for this gladiator type event. The walker proves to be a bit tougher than usual, but it's no match for a French flagpole. For the next challenge, he believes he's being pitted against Quinn, but they're actually meant to work as a team to face down against a whole bunch of berserker walkers. As an interesting twist, some of the walkers' bodies physically reject the experimental drug, showing how poorly this venture's going for Marion and her scientists. All that money and resources spent on shipping the walkers over, and so few of them end up being viable test subjects. After they take out the walkers, Daryl triumphantly holds up a walker head and chucks it at Marion. She orders their execution, but one of these audience members is Falou, and he creates a panic by killing a guard. Quinn says that he regrets being so horrible to Isabel, and offers his wrist to Daryl to be cut off in order to give him a fighting chance of surviving, which he does, as Quinn creates a diversion for him. The next time they come across Quinn, he's a walker, and Daryl commands little Jesus to be a big boy and go help his mother.
Save her! Do it!
Gotta forgive you.
on the road for a while, having successfully escaped, but Stefan was on their tail the whole time. Rather bizarrely, Stefan has a chance to kill them all, you know, like he's been trying to do since the start, but conveniently he has a change of heart and kills his friends instead. You can make the argument that deep down he has a good heart, and his Christian values prevent him from killing a supposed messiah, but goddamn this moment was frustrating, and frankly it feels very cheap, having this character do a complete 180 at the most convenient time.
Mont Saint-Michel? The nest. A day's walk north. Not even.
When he gets back to Marion and explains how little Jesus and Daryl escaped, she can tell he's lying just by looking in his eyes, so she'll be dealing with him later. Finally, they deliver little Jesus to the nest, and life here seems pretty chill, but ultimately Daryl knows that he needs to go home. He momentarily stops at the Normandy graves to find his grandfather's headstone, a moment so poignant that it almost breaks down the emotional wall that he's built up over the many years of going through hell. On the beach, he waves to a boat, which signals back at him as if to say hop aboard. But as he's about to leave this place forever, little Jesus pops up out of nowhere and makes him reconsider. Oh god, please, please leave France. I'm already so sick of this place. No offence meant, French people. The season ends with us seeing Carol again, and she's questioning a guy who's riding Daryl's motorbike. She doesn't believe him when he says that he just found the bike, and so she locks him in the trunk while she goes off to confirm his story. There's a good reason why she's making an appearance at the end here, and it's because season 2 is called The Book of Carol, giving us the very neat little title, The Walking Dead, Daryl Dixon, The Book of Carol. Of course he didn't go home. The south of France is lovely this time of year. Who needs your close friends who are essentially your family? You only spent 11 seasons building up a loving relationship with those guys. To hell with them. All you need is sun, sea, and a small Jesus. The leader of the nest is a guy called Losang, and he has troubling news about one of their outposts on the mainland. Marion's merry men have taken over, and Daryl warns that she will likely kill them when they refuse to give up information on the nest. Losang agrees on taking action, but not right away because he wants to play it smart. He also asks that Daryl eases up on teaching little Jesus to defend himself, as he needs to focus on being the Messiah and doing Messiah stuff.
Laurent's meant for much more.
More than staying alive?
Yes, actually. Maintaining empathy.
They get word of their captured people being transported somewhere, and so they set up a plan to blow out the front tyres. When that plan doesn't work, Daryl starts blasting, killing all the non-essential bad guys before getting to the big cheese, who instead of shooting right away, lets her have enough dialogue in time for a distraction. The better part of this episode is Carol's story, at least towards the end of the episode. Many of her earlier scenes felt kinda dumb, and some were painfully cringe.
Now take a deep breath in and out. Breath.
She goes to the Grease Monkey garage looking for information on Daryl, and she gets the crossbow out when they seem reluctant to tell.
You gonna shoot, bitch?
They reveal where Daryl went to, and she borrows a car to continue her quest to find him. The cringe-inducing scene is where Carol's stress levels get too much, and she has a mini freak-out in the car. That acting feels so forced. Look, Melissa McBride is a capable actor. She has some undeniably great moments in The Walking Dead.
Just look at the flowers.
What do you think of the kingdom, Carol?
I would be speechless if I wasn't already speaking. I don't know what the hell's going on in the most wonderful way.
But every scene where she's a crazy person freaking out is the funniest and least convincing thing ever. You're not scary. You're a grandma who's behind on taking her medication. Play to Melissa McBride's strengths. She's a badass when she's using her intelligence to outplay and manipulate others until she gets what she needs. She gets distracted from the road, seeing a plane overhead, and crashes the car in a panic, seeing a single walker on the road. While scoping out the pilot's base, she gets caught in one of his traps, and she, get this, uses her vulnerability to get what she needs.
I realize you have no reason to help me, but you seem like a really nice person. And I'd like to think that even still, we can rely on the kindness of strangers.
He trusts her enough to allow her to stay in the barn, and we get some cool blended shots showing her PTSD or finding Sophia in the barn.
You okay?
The next day, when he ventures out looking for car parts, she takes the opportunity to nose around, finding a memorial in the greenhouse for his dead son. Meanwhile, walkers have found their way into the base after the generator busted, which opened the electronic gate. Knowing that the walkers are approaching this glass panel greenhouse and everything has gone silent apart from the music this toy is making, I was really anticipating an effective jump scare here, with the walkers smashing the windows when the music stopped, but instead they just casually walk inside. What a missed opportunity. The guy comes back and helps clear the walkers, but he's pissed at her for looking at his son's memorial.
You had no right to come in here.
I'm so sorry. Nothing happened to the grave.
Nothing happened? Are you f***ing kidding me?
She pleads with him to be her friend still, and so he's like, okay then, I guess if he wanted me to, I could also fly you to France. Losang's advisor Jansita warns that their people are growing restless, wanting proof that little Jesus really is the Messiah, otherwise they will rebel. Jansita suggests they perform the ceremony sooner than planned.
Donc tu veux avancer la cérémonie?
Ça enverrait un signal fort.
With this second season, we're entering some skippable territory, but like always, I'll be sure to not skip anything crucial to the plot. Isabel wakes one morning to find that little Jesus is missing. Their guard says that some guy with a face tattoo knocked him out before taking the boy, but it turns out he wasn't taken at all, as discovered by this lady Sylvie, who suspected all along that Losang was up to something. Daryl and a small team have already headed out, invaded an outpost on their fruitless rescue mission. One of the young lads was assigned by Losang to lead this fake search party, and essentially keep these non-believers busy while he enacts his plan. The young lad is desperate for little Jesus to be proven as the Messiah, for he has endured a lot of suffering while supporting this cause, so to not have it pay off would be soul-crushing.
Everything the Union had fought for will be lost. Meaningless. Everything we did.
You're confused at me. Not thinking clearly.
I really do like this concept of faith being tested. It's the more unique and interesting part of this spin-off, which isn't ideal, because the main interest really should be Daryl. But at this point, his story is starting to feel meandering, and I'm starting to lose my interest in his happy ending. So, how will they prove he's the Messiah? Well, they believe that little Jesus being born from the belly of a walker means that he will be immune to their bite, which would make more sense if she was impregnated as a walker, but thankfully we'll never see that theory played out, or at least I hope not. We'll see this Messiah test in the next episode. Back to Carol and her new friend Ash. Their plane makes an emergency landing in Greenland. While Ash is fixing the fuel leak, Carol gets snuck up on by a ground-dwelling walker, but they're saved by a distant shot from two women.
Welcome to Greenland.
People.
Their names are Yun and Tilda Swinton from AliExpress. They seem very friendly, which as we know by now is a major red flag, and they turn out to be temporary antagonists. Tilda Swinton from AliExpress is the more pure of heart, but she's been manipulated by Yun, something which Carol can sympathise with.
The boy is hungry. We can spare one box.
It's cold. Operational. Security. How long do you think this stuff's gonna last? You keep running your damn mouth off to everybody we meet.
I'm sorry. I wasn't thinking.
So she convinces her to turn on Yun.
Do what I goddamn tell you. I do it myself.
They head back to the plane where Yun left Ash tied up, and he shoots a flare right into Tilda Swinton from AliExpress's neck, believing that she was dangerous. They finally arrive in Paris, and Carol says that she's going to go find her daughter while Ash is fixing the plane. She knew that Ash having a dead son would make him more sympathetic to her cause if he believed that there was a chance that she might still find her daughter alive. Yeah, that's kind of a disgusting deception, isn't it? She sneaks into a military recruiting point, where the head lady promises hot meals and shelter for a select amount of volunteers. Carol gets caught trying to sneak aboard a truck, and ends up being selected as one of the volunteers because they believe that she's got what it takes. Back at the base, Marion gives the instruction that Stefan is to be tortured until he gives up the location of little Jesus and Daryl. It's too graphic to show any of this, but she gives a cool story that's worth listening to, as it provides some interesting lore on her family history. We'll be getting to know Marion on a more personal level right now. We see Marion in her previous life, working as a janitor in the same museum where the Mona Lisa's kept. This famous building right here, the Louvre. The Louvre? What about love, love, love? And I love this part of the episode. When the chaos breaks out, Marion is helplessly stuck inside the Louvre, unable to help her husband as he's torn apart by walkers. We get a nice transition shot when she breaks down in front of the Mona Lisa, and this next line of dialogue perfectly represents how she feels now that this priceless piece of art is just hanging here unguarded.
When it all started, they protected the art, not the people.
How are you so sure it's the real thing?
Because I'm the one who took it out the f***ing wall.
A soldier acts up, throwing his food on the floor because it doesn't taste nice, so Marion forces him to eat it from the floor, his compliance demonstrating again that she's not to be messed with.
Bon appétit! Excuse the interruption. I have no tolerance for bullies.
Carol quickly makes friends with this guy, and she lets him know that she's looking for someone here in Paris. Together, they spy on the shady activities going on here, seeing people being shot with a strange serum that turns them into crazed walkers.
Réduis la dose. On veut des soldats qu'on est capable de contrôler.
While asking around about Daryl, a beaten and bruised Stefan splutters out in bitter amusement, hearing that someone else is looking for him. He takes a lot of convincing, but Carol gets him to reveal Daryl's location.
There is an island fortress on the Normandy coast. Hurry up. If Genet finds him first, Dixon is a dead man.
Stefan turning good was a bit jarring at first, but his act of kindness here makes sense. He's become so exhausted and wounded that he's lost faith in his original cause, and can see the pain that Carol might be going through, losing her quote-unquote brother.
Daryl Dixon, he's my brother.
You're a liar! You're a liar!
She tries to escape, but she gets caught in the act. She's then forced to explain her story to Marion. She starts out telling the truth, but then lies about the reason why she wants to find Daryl, knowing that it will put her in good standing with Marion.
I came here to kill him.
Marion reveals that the reason they're making a new walker variant is because they want super strong walkers who will be used to take out the lesser walkers. Back to the nest, Sylvie's frantically looking for Laurent. I'll stop calling him Little Jesus now. In her attempts to save him from the ceremony, she ends up in a lame scuffle with the guards, and dramatically falls to her death. Lo Sang sees this as a sign that she should be the one to bite him. Laurent is going along for the ride on this one, happy to be tested as the new messiah. Lo Sang gives him a drug anyway, to relax him even further. Gotta tell you, I was excited to see this messiah test play out. It would have made for some amazing commentary applicable to real life. But of course, the writers take the coward's route, and Daryl saves him right before the bite. Daryl and Isabel get caught, and slung into the nest's version of a prison. Laurent and Falou escape and meet up in some cave. The episode ends with Carol being taken out into a field, which is opposite the nest, where Marion says that Carol will be sacrificed in a way that will grant her her wish of killing Daryl.
I'm giving you what you asked for. You're gonna kill your friend. Hey! Get off me!
Marion's big plan to kill the prisoners is to turn them into the Berserker Walkers and set them on a path towards the nest, using Stefan as bait. Carol somehow managed to pull out her dart before the serum entered her bloodstream, even though darts inject immediately upon impact, as shown here by the slow-mo guys. And the BS doesn't stop here because, well, just watch.
Get us out of here! Hurry up!
She's barely jogging and somehow outruns the berserker walkers and all of the armed soldiers, and then she uses 10% of her power to pull this soldier out of the car.
Look at that! McQueen made it through! Man, a spectacular move by Lightning McQueen! Yeah, good job!
She drives towards the nest, perhaps hoping that there would be armed guards there to take down the walkers, but all they find is a locked door. While Carol effortlessly deals with this problem, let's go check in on Daryl. He's doing okay, but Isabel, not so much, getting stabbed for being a non-believer. Daryl gets set free and works his way through some walkers, leading to the reunion we've all been waiting for, since the last reunion we waited for. Daryl shares a tearful goodbye with the woman he was starting to fall for. Oh yeah, they kissed back in episode 2 by the way. I'll give Isabel credit, she was an interesting character, but we can't dwell on this moment too long, we got plenty more to get through. Daryl and Carol hit the road, searching for Laron. Their names being so similar is going to play havoc on my slight speech impediment, so whenever they're together I'm just going to call them DC. They find this old couple eating dinner, who kindly offer them a plate, instead of saying get the hell out of our house. They reveal that Laron and Falou passed through here, and said that Daryl would come looking for them. This old couple belong to a whole village of old people, and when anyone dies, they simply lock them in their home, rather than taking them out and burying the bodies, because that task would be quite strenuous for an old person.
When someone dies, we lock the gate and pay respect when we pass by.
That's a new one.
Yeah. Whoa! Monsieur Toussaint!
The next day at breakfast, they hear the military coming, and it turns out the old man gave them up, in exchange for protection, I assume. Wait, would that be assume or presume? They slip away, and the old folks have to tell lies about sheltering enemies of the state. Carol gets found, but Daryl saves her, and Marion ends up with a berserker walker dart in her back, leading to the best death scene I've seen in some time. Fantastic practical effects, and maybe digital effects too, I can't quite tell. This could be seen as a bit too brief of a death scene for such an important character. I wasn't really a fan of Marion at the start, but now I see her as one of the best characters in this spin-off. The nationalist army still stands strong, with the next in command being this woman here, and she's working with Losang to find Laron before DC do. Stefan rocks up at Falou's place, looking like he just got back from World War II. Laron explains that he's a good guy now, so please don't shoot him.
Vous allez nous tuer, mais il les a empêchés. Et nous a laissés partir.
DC get back to Ash's plane, but he's no longer there. Some rando got caught in one of his traps, saying Ash ran off somewhere, and he was only sent here to check out the plane. So where is Ash? Well, right now, he's stuck in a car surrounded by walkers. He goes to open the car door, but gets knocked back inside, sustaining a slight concussion. DC go to Falou's base looking for Ash, instead finding Laron and all his friends. They're forced to go back to the Catacombs Club, where Singer Lady is now in charge. She doesn't know where Ash is, but Carol spots one of his fuel canisters, and they find out they got this from Maison Mère, the place where Marion was based, and that's where they find the car surrounded by walkers. They manage to get into the car, but they still have the walker problem to deal with. Daryl comes up with the genius idea of shooting a walker with a berserker dart. This idea makes for a pretty great scene, as the berserker walkers go to town, ripping up the regular walkers and creating an absolute bloodbath. Carol is forced to confess the truth to Ash, that she came here for Daryl and not to rescue her already dead daughter. And he's majorly ticked off that she would use her dead daughter to manipulate him, questioning if their friendship is even real.
It was all based in a lie. Your lie to get my f***ing plane. God.
When he calms down, he says, look, I can't take you all home, it's only a small plane, so one of you has to stay behind. There was also a big cat and mouse chase sequence going on between Losang and Daryl, but it was tedious enough to watch, let alone explain it in detail. The chase ends up in the catacombs, where Daryl uses a skull to cave in Losang's skull. And we can move on. They have the expected debate over who stays and who goes, with them eventually agreeing that Carol will take Laurent back to the USA, which means Daryl won't be leaving France for a while longer. Oh no. Please just leave France. I can't take it no more.
I'm done. Cut the show.
This might feel like a bit of a cop-out, but there's so much skippable stuff here that I'm just going to wrap up this recap a lot quicker than some might be happy with. There's a cool scene where Singer Lady gets eaten after she tricked these people to come down here on the hunt for Laurent, deliberately misleading them because she likes Laurent and doesn't want him to get hurt.
God is on our side. God gave up on us a long time ago.
Jancita got bit, but she doesn't give up hope yet, as Laurent hasn't left the country yet, and she still believes in Lo Sang's vision of proving Laurent to be the Messiah. As they prepare the plane for takeoff, Jancita's crew opens fire. Daryl defends them the best he can, with no time for a tearful goodbye. Daryl takes out a fair few of Jancita's soldiers, which is no loss really. These guys had the worst aim imaginable. He runs out of ammo trying to take down the last car, but to his surprise, they get taken out anyway. And who did this? It's Carol, who jumped out the plane to save the day.
What?
Yeah, I know.
Seeing that she just failed her mission, Jancita scratches the back of her brain with a bullet. Falou advises that the other way back home is to go through the Channel Tunnel, which leads into the UK. For all of you fellow Brits who were excited about the idea of Season 3 taking place in the UK, don't get your hopes up, because the promotional material suggests that much of Season 3 will be taking place in Spain, which makes no sense at all. And if that's true, I'm telling you now, this is where the recaps of Daryl Dixon will stop. Going to Spain next, instead of going home, is way too much dicking around for my liking. Just finish his damn story, you greedy douches. Two Scottish guides are here to help the gang through the tunnel, but the problem is this tunnel is filled with bat poo, and the fumes from this bat poo caused the previous soldiers to lose their minds and kill each other. And unfortunately, this is now happening to our guys too. And the only two who survive this end up being, you guessed it, D and C. Well, Stefan might still be alive, but he wandered off, chasing the ghost of his dead brother. Before Stefan lost his mind, he found out that Daryl wasn't the one who killed him, and that was a nice detail to wrap up. As for wrapping up the rest of this spin-off, I do believe I'm done. And hopefully you feel the same way too, because there are bigger and better shows for me to recap. Thank you once again, channel members and Patreons. If you wish to support me for the upcoming projects, which are going to be huge in 2025, I promise you that, I've added a cheaper tier for channel memberships, offering you frequent updates on these projects, as well as other notes from behind the scenes. Thank you for watching, and Merry Christmas.